Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about IronHeart. True or false? She solves all of the PowerArmor problems. You didn't know there were problems? There are. So we got another tune. We're going to do the typical character review dive that I like to do. We'll cover the abilities real quick. You can see those in game and all that kind of thing, so I'm just going to browse through them. Just to kind of show what they are, to see the T4 upgrades, talk about kind of where those fall a little bit, not the Yeti punk style thing, but just to real loosely talk them, to cover them. And then the thing I like to really do in these character review type videos is I like to cover the stats. I want to see how they rank up against a bunch of other tunes, where they come in, do they have the stats that you really think you need on a tune like this. And we'll even look at, it's not a turn order like I did with the Black Order, but we'll look at the speed to see kind of where it falls in based on our abilities and see if it makes sense. So, yeah, so we're still rocking the quarantine dew, this time with a hoodie. So we're going to rock that as we go check out the lady in armor here to see what she brings the PowerArmor team. So let's go do it.
Bring me WolverThor!
Okay, so first up, we're going to just look at our abilities, like I mentioned. Ultron Bot on Discord. Amazing tool. Check it out. Get it on your Discord if you don't have it. It's nice for seeing things pretty quickly. So, IronHeart's basic. Attack primary target for damage, and then gain assist from Iron Man. The T4 upgrade gives that an additional, 60% there? So we'll check out how that stacks up on the damage rankings in a moment. But the assist is nice. Let's see, when this ability actually comes into play. Special from IronHeart seems to be the first ability, given that you see all of her energy, 4 out of 4. There is ready first turn, also a short cooldown. So in theory, it can be ready pretty quickly if there's someone still straggling behind. Though typically with PowerArmor, if you get to that second wave of attacks or that second round of, not the second turn, but like your specials and alts and all that, this team is typically kind of a burst. Like once they get their specials and alts out, if people aren't dead, you're kind of toast. But there's a short cooldown on this one. You use it first turn. So attack primary and adjacent targets for damage, and then change speed bar of primary and adjacent targets by 15 or 20%, depending if you have that T4. And then also apply ability block to the primary target. So that's interesting. Gets a little bit of AoE damage in there, not a ton, just the adjacents, and you get some speed bar reduction. 15% is pretty solid. I don't know if the T4 for another 5% is going to be necessary, but it's there. So that looks like the first turn ability, especially now that we're seeing the ultimate. So that basic's a third turn. So the base or the ultimate seems to be turn number 2 here, and it's probably what everyone's going to be talking about with her. Is attack all enemies for damage, plus apply defense down for 1 or 2 turns. If you have the T4, it gives you the 2 turns. And then in war, gain 100,000% extra focus for this attack. So basically, in war, she's getting this defense down. Hey, Red Skull, how you doing? So we'll see how that shakes out. I think the T4 in this, if you're going to try to use this team against Hydra, that T4 is probably going to be very required, because if you don't get that Red Skull down or close to it and he starts summoning, you're out of luck, man. You're not going to have the oomph to finish off that Red Skull team, which frankly I'd be a little bit worried about if they don't do the damage they need to take Red Skull down. So we will look at our passive real quick before we jump back into the rest of the abilities, just to talk about their order. On spawn, apply defense up to self and all PowerArmor allies for 2 turns. Thank you for taking away vision and giving us this. This is your vision aspect. Apply a 30 to 40% resist depending on the T4, some additional max health, and some additional armor. And at first when you look at that, oh my gosh, resist and health and armor, they're not huge stats. Boost 10 to 15% on the resist, or on the max health and the armor, and a resist is pretty high. So jumping back to those abilities real quick. So the way it's going to work out is you're going to use her special, hitting the primary and adjacent, putting an ability block on, reducing some speed bar, which is nice. Then you're going to jump the ultimate, which is going to lay down that defense down on the team, and it's all the entire team guaranteed for 1 to 2 turns, plus attack them all. I don't know if she attacks then puts it down, or if she puts the defense down and then attacks. I'm assuming she puts the defense down and then attacks. It'd be kind of silly not to do that, but we'll see. And then on your 3rd turn, that's when you're going to come back in with the basic for a hit and gain the assist from Iron Man. I think at that point, you're kind of hoping the battle's over, so I don't think I'd put any T4s in that. We'll look at the damage increase again, but at that point in the match, I don't think that's going to make a difference in a win or loss. So overall, kit's okay. It seems very Power Armor like, you know, some ability blocks, some AoE damage. The defense down is the huge part there with the ultimate. That's probably where you're going to see most people say to put the T4s. If you need that 2nd turn, I'd like to test it without the 2nd turn first to see if you can get away with it, if you even need it, and then kind of go from there. So let's look at where the damage ranks kind of come in with these T4 upgrades. All right, so for those of you who are not familiar with this, back in the day, and I still keep it up to date, this is how I used to rank my T4s upgrades. I had this gigantic list. And part of this list is showing how the damage rank for a specific item that increases the damage, how that kind of ranks up against other damage increases in the game. So IronHeart's basic, the one that we talked about being the 3rd turn ability, that comes in ranked at 38th. That's actually pretty good. But again, 38th on a 3rd turn ability that might not be needed. Probably not going to do it. The special, that's that 1st turn AoE to primary and adjacent. That's coming in ranked at 230. But again, this damage is based on a solo target. So it's really a little bit more than that. It's probably closer. And again, it just depends how many adjacent targets there are. And that's why it's hard to do that, to factor that in, and why I've baselined it at just 1 target. So factor that in when you see that rank. And then the same thing with the alt. It comes in at 169th, but again, it's all. So you're increasing the damage against all characters there, whether it's 1 or whether it's 10. So that's a really good upgrade there. And again, with the defense down on it, you're probably going to be looking at the additional turn of defense down. You're probably going to want to look at keeping that around. And then, like I mentioned, the passive's not bad. I don't know if it's necessary, but it certainly is not going to hurt the team, that's for sure. So let's go check out the overall stats on this character to see how she does. Okay, so for this, I rank, this spreadsheet is a massive ranking of all the characters in the game. Every stat that they've got, and then ranked them. And then I have an average rank across the board. And I baseline that based on MSF.GG at level 70, 7 yellow stars, 0 red stars, T11, 1% star attack, and passive level 4. So the first thing I actually want to look at before I jump in and all the stats here is the speed of the Power Armor team. So I've highlighted them in blue to pop them out a little bit. So you see Rescue goes first at 117. Then you're going to have IronHeart next at 116, so that's good. So after Rescue gets her ult off, that 2nd turn, she's the next person that goes IronHeart. So IronHeart is then going to put defense down on the team. Whether she ults first before the defense down or 2nd, at least the other tunes that are going to go all get to use their ultimates on a defense down team. So then you've got War Machine now with an ultimate on a defense down team, which could potentially have defense up, but they basically negate each other. And then you've got Falcon after War Machine at 113. War Machine is at 115. Falcon's at 113. So at that point, he's using his ultimate across the board with that defense down. And then you're looking for your legendary Iron Man. He's at 101, so you're going to use either an ultimate to solo target someone. And honestly, if you're going against Red Skull, at that point, I'd probably use his ultimate on Red Skull if you can, if there's no taunt on the board. So you might want to make sure that you got an offense up on some damage reduction on Red Skull. That you might want to consider that. So anyway, that's the speed of this team. So let's just look, and I think that makes sense. I think FoxNext did a good job at, lining them up. It seems, when Vision was in there, things were getting screwy. At least the defense down is there for all of the ultimates of War Machine, Falcon, and Iron Man. So let's look at IronHeart just by herself and how she ranks up against every other tune in the game. So I will say, I was surprised to see where she came out stat-wise. But then at the same time, I'm not surprised because power creep. The developers got to do it to make us interested in characters, and that's what I think is happening here. Overall, she comes in as the 12th highest ranked character in the game based purely on stats. The reason that is because I scroll all the way to the edge here, I look at her average rank amongst stats, and she's 41.2, just edging out Hela stat-wise. Yes, edging out Hela stat-wise. Think about that for a second. Now, Hela's got some utility in other game modes and all that kind of thing, so let's not get crazy here, but it's very interesting to see that IronHeart comes in at that spot. So the first one stat on the board is health. She comes in ranked at 105, which is pretty bad, actually. So her other stats must be pretty good across the board. 60,000 at that baseline I mentioned earlier. Her damage is actually pretty good. Comes in ranked 33rd at 7,300 at that baseline. Her armor is very high, which you'd expect to be the case for every single power armor team. So she comes in ranked at 9th at 5714. Her focus, which you really want, but then again, you think about it, it's like you almost don't care because of the gigantic increase. But I guess if it was a low focus, the percent increase wouldn't do that much. So, okay, fine. So her focus rank comes in at 12, which is nice to see. So that percent increase is going to dramatically increase a nice focus already. So her focus is 2187 there. The resistance she's got, that comes in ranked at 63rd. Pretty solid. Nothing crazy, you know, but it's good. You want her, I suppose, to resist things. You don't want her to get stunned before that second turn, which is probably the way people are going to want to counter this team. Not that they have an option to do that, given that it's their AI probably fighting them every single time. Resistance comes in at 1485. And finally, we already mentioned her speed comes in at 116, which ranks 25th in the game. So overall, like I said, she comes in ranked with an average rank of 41 across the board. She comes in ranked at the 12th best character in the game, purely based on stats, with that baseline of level 70, 7 yellow stars, 0 red stars, T11, because not everyone can get to T12, 13, and 14 with the gear constraints in the game, so I like to do T11. At some point in the near future, we're going to jump that up. I'm thinking maybe T13. And 1% start tech and passive level 4, all based on MSF.GG. So there's only a handful of tunes that are higher than her. Taskmaster, Crystal, Symbiote Spider-Man, Karnak, Proxima Midnight, Captain Marvel, Ghost Rider, Black Bolt, Ultron, Ebony Maw, and Dark Phoenix. So the tunes that are above her are all pretty top-notch outside of maybe Karnak there as far as stats go. Every one of these you see somebody talking about how epic they are. They're just good. So I was pretty impressed to see that. So let's do the outro and finish up with this lady of the Power Armor team. Well, second lady, I guess? I don't know. They can fight it out. They'll figure it out. So, IronHeart. She's going to be potentially a key piece to that Power Armor team, mainly because of that defense down. I think that's the biggest thing she brings to the table and starts to equalize the speed out there so that before you had vision to clear the defense ups on teams, now IronHeart is going to put the defense down on teams, so that should help. And hopefully they just wipe everybody off the board after all those ults. So that's the part where I'm not convinced you need necessarily 2 turns of defense down unless a character goes before one of your other Power Armor team tunes don't go. So like, for instance, if Iron Man's 101 and you get, you know, somebody like Elsa Bloodstone who I can see is a 114, well, her defense down's gone, so now you can't use anybody who is slower than her to attack her with the AoE with defense down. So that would probably be the biggest reason to use the T4 on that defense down, because anybody who's faster than Falcon, War Machine, and Iron Man, they won't have defense down when they get their ults off. So that's something to factor in when you're thinking about that T4 upgrade. Probably going to say that's the one you're going to want to do, but we'll see. So yeah, am I going to go out and spend money on her? True or false? Do I think she's going to be the key for the Power Armor team? You know what? Look, the Power Armor was already good with Vision. She's going to make them fine again. Hopefully they're going to be able to beat the Red Skull. That'd be a nice counter. I'm a little skeptical based on the sustain that Hydra has versus Power Armor doesn't really have any sustain. So unless IronHeart is going to make it so that Power Armor is going to essentially wipe Red Skull off the board, not sure I'm going to see it, but we'll see. I'm sure this team's going to play its role somewhere in Dark, or not in Dark Dimension, gosh, that's on the brain, in War. You know, a couple of the videos, one of them you see kind of going off to the side here, is against Asgard. And in both of the videos that we have, one of them, granted PowerArmor loses, but it was just a 1 Greg. And the other one, PowerArmor lost, but it was with only Sif standing. So that's not too bad. If you're taking PowerArmor against Asgard, I mean, it's not bad. And then you can save your Black Order against somebody else. I don't know. So anyway, that's all I got. I hope this helped. I did this video quickly, kind of on the fly. I was just like, yeah, all right. I just ate some dinner, hanging out, so I'm going to shoot this and get it out there. So anyway, hit me up on the Discord. The link's going to be in the description below. Share this with your Alliance mates. Hammer down on the like button. If you want to do the notification bell, subscriptions, that's always fun too if you want. We're getting close to 5,000 subscribers. Definitely going to do a giveaway for that. Not sure what yet, but we're going to do something. So once we get there, we'll definitely start posting some more about that. And I don't know, it's just kind of fun. So anyway, until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.